Um, Hi, Mark.
Hey, John.
Thanks for agreeing to have a second conversation. We've done earlier videos and we've been talking about this whole question of reconciliation and what it is and how we're working with the conflicts in our community.
Hmm.
And I was really struck by something you said about how it became clear to you in the many conversations that you've had recently that the Portland Shambhala community really wants to hang together.
Hmm.
And so I wonder, well, how did you come to that conclusion and what does that mean?
Yeah. For a lot of folks, and this has been true, I think, even before the Buddha Sunshine Report came out, uh, our Shambhala teachings and practices, our vows, our commitments, both to our practice as well as to each other, are vital. For all of us, that's kind of the container that really holds us. Um, and in the midst of that, we still kind of experience difference and division. Sometimes it's not necessarily super serious. It's do you want um, burritos or chicken for dinner kind of stuff, and having to make choices and negotiate. But sometimes it's stuff that isn't very easily resolved. And what I've experienced over the last couple of years, and then especially in the last few weeks, is folks stepping forward to talk about some of that harder stuff, the divisions that don't necessarily get addressed by just kind of being friendly to each other in community or by sharing space with each other in the practice hall. So I think a little more to your question, the thing that I'm hearing from folks is that there's, number one, a real desire to address some of these issues, but number two, a real sense of disheartenment and potential fear about this actually dividing our community.
Mhm.
And the possibility that Portland Shambhala might split into two or more different factions that
Mhm.
then keep us from sort of being together as the Portland Meditation Center.
And so, it strikes me that that fear of there being a split is kind of out there. It's something that would happen in some ways to other people, or or and what I've heard about your interactions from you is that it's actually been very personal and very one to one.
Mm-hmm.
And so that uh, so to me that's very interesting that our fears about divisions are kind of projected out,
Mm-hmm.
and the actions that you've taken are very much actually you taking action, provoking the community, and then following up on lots of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this didn't come out of nowhere. Maybe just to put it really clearly, the intent of the protest was threefold. One was just to highlight the fact that this division exists. I know some folks have said, well, you're creating division in the community, and I think my response is, well, no, it's already here, and it's been here, even before uh, the Buddha Sunshine Report came down the pike. And being able to acknowledge, first off, this is real. Number two is giving some folks a voice that felt like they hadn't been able to be heard before. But then number three, and this was the piece that was really kind of a challenge for me, and me stepping out of my own comfort zone, was waking some folks up that have not been, I think, attending to the voices of those who have been suffering and who have felt like they haven't been heard or feeling marginalized. So, in all, just at uh, kind of the end of my rope in terms of trying to find a way to get into this conversation, sort of creating um, literally running a flagpole up the flag, flag up the flagpole to see who salutes, and get the
Yeah.
conversation going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so do you think that in doing this, you've changed anybody's mind, or is that the point?
I don't know that um, reconciliation by itself is necessarily about changing, opinions, um, or even necessarily even about, sort of changing deeply held beliefs or anything like that. It's much more about being open to one another, kind of beyond whatever our personal beliefs or experiences are, and being willing to kind of step into the unknown together, knowing that we might experience some loss, knowing that we might be taking a risk with somebody that maybe we don't know so well.
Mhm.
Um, I think there are probably cheap ways to do that. I think a lot of us want kind of an easy way where we can kind of keep ourselves intact
Mhm.
and still feel good about kind of what we're saying and what we're doing. It's a lot harder to listen to somebody's story of, how they were abused or how they were marginalized, or, experiences of racism or sexism or misogyny or whatever it is.
Or how they were insulted when you did XYZ with a pin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. To hear people's
Yeah.
very real experiences of that pin,
Yeah.
and what it meant for them to have that flag defaced in the way that I
Mhm.
did. Um, it's hard to sit with that, and it's hard to stay with that feeling, to stay with somebody in that pain. But that's what reconciliation is.
It strikes me that it's very hard or impossible to plan to step into that kind of scary relationship with someone else. You can't engineer it from afar. It happens in the moment, and that's inherently kind of uncomfortable, and maybe that requires a change in our thinking.
Well, I would say it's practice, like every other aspect of our path, is practice. And there's a certain kind of threshold that we all have personally in being able to do it. That doesn't mean we can't start, and that doesn't mean we can't kind of go up to that line and take one more step past it and see what happens.
Mhm.
And I think making a practice of that as a community is ultimately what's going to help us continue to grow together rather than grow apart.
So I think that's a perfect place to pause and share this thinking in a video and invite further conversation.
All right. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya.